Multi-factor authentication. Why is it so important? This is, the conversation we're going to have right now. So just think about today. Cyber criminals are taking advantage of weak passwords, right? They're trying to gain entry to systems so they can steal data, so they can hit you with ransomware. So they're doing everything they possibly can to get your username and password, because everybody uses a username and password. Everybody does. So they know that everybody uses username and password, and they know that they're going to try everything they possibly can to get it, because then they're going to get in your account. And so they might do it via brute force, right? They know your username, so they're going to try brute force your password. But another way they might steal your credentials is using what? They might use a virus, right? If they can get a virus on your system through some sort of phishing attempt, then what they're going to be able to do is they're going to be able to capture your credentials. So here you are sitting at your desk. Actually, it's not you. It's Karen Wolfram, who works for CyberElements.com. And she, at one point in time, ended up with a virus, a keylogger on her system. And what happened here is that the cyber criminal was able to capture her credentials. So now what does the cyber criminal do? They go ahead and they go back to their, not go back, but they are sitting right now in their cyber criminal headquarters, wherever they are. And now they're going to log into Karen's account. And they're going to have access to everything related to Karen's account now in Office 365 because they were able to steal it. So here's what I want you to think going forward, right? I want you to think that, or I want you to feel and believe that your username and password is always compromised. Always compromised. No matter what. That's right. Your username and password is already compromised. And if you change it tomorrow, just believe it's already compromised. That's the mentality you and everyone else has to have in this world right now. No matter what username and password you have, it is compromised. Because if it's not, it will be soon. There's too many data breaches out there. And so you're just believe your username and password's compromised, okay? So with that in mind, you need something to protect that. How are you going to protect that? That's where multi-factor authentication can come into play now. Protect us from that scenario, right? Basically, you know your username and password's compromised. But if we have multi-factor authentication, it means that we need another form of authentication. I put in my username and password, and then ask me for security verification. So when we use multi-factor authentication, like our phone, that gives us a code. This one example is using text. Okay, we get the text with the code. Now I'm going to take that code and I'm going to put it in. Right? So what does that mean? It means that the cyber criminal needs my username and password, which we just assume they already have, but now they also need my phone, don't they? They need my phone. So going back to the scenario with the cyber criminal, they are what? They are stealing my username and password, or they already have it. In this case, they're stealing it right now with a keylogger that's installed in the system that our antivirus software did not pick up. So they have it. Now they're back in their secret layer lab, and what they're doing, they're trying to log in to my account, and oh geez, they can't do it, right? Because they don't have the code when it's all said and done. And that's why we do multi-factor authentication, because it's just too easy for them now to get our usernames and passwords. It really is. So just assume your username and password's always compromised, folks, and any service you use multi-factor authentication for it. Always, 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 always. Right? Or if they offer like passwordless authentication, where you can use biometrics to authenticate, take advantage of that. Take advantage of that, because the odds of the cyber criminal getting your fingerprint is pretty slim. Much less than them ever being able to get your username and passwords. They're going to get your username and password, right? But it's hard for them to get your fingerprint. It's hard for them to get your eyeball. Not saying it's impossible, right? They could, but the fact of the matter is if you need your phone and your thumbprint in order to connect to that service, that's a lot harder for them to breach than something like this. Not saying it's impossible, but it's a lot harder for them to breach than if you're just using a username and password. Okay. So that's why multi-factor authentication exists today and why you need it. It's mandatory if you want to protect your accounts and your organization. So if you're not using multi-factor authentication yet in your organization, your goal, your job for the rest of the year is maybe to start thinking about how you can start implementing that for your accounts that you have in your organization. Just something to consider.